Mike Johnson has been seeing his majority in Congress fall apart week after week, month after month, whether it be resignations or deaths, early retirements. Mike Johnson now has the smallest majority in history, and it is about to get even smaller. Mike Johnson has seen his control over Congress evaporate, which effectively means Donald Trump's control over Congress has evaporated because, as Trump has made clear many times, Mike Johnson is simply just his puppet, which is why the announcement that a rising star in the Republican Party, according to Trump, who has just quit the GOP, is now considering joining the Democrats, is the brutal blow that Donald Trump might have been afraid of most. Not only because how it disrupts the House, but also because of how weak and ineffective it makes him look. But it all begins with Donald Trump's big plan to make sure he holds the House, which is straight up voter suppression and attacking the Congress. It's where I want to start before we get to this Republican who is now threatening to literally flip parties on Trump. Trump wrote recently on Truth Social, "Great job by hardworking Scott Pressler on Fox and Friends, talking about using the filibuster or talking filibuster in order to pass the Save America Act. An 88% issue with all voters. It must be done immediately. It supersedes everything else. Must go to the front of the line. I, as president, will not sign other bills until this is passed. And not the watered down version. Go for the gold. Must show voter ID and proof of citizenship." Donald Trump says it there. Proof of citizenship. It's not a voter ID bill. It is a proof of citizenship bill. No mail-in ballots except for military, illness, disability, travel. No men in women's sports. Okay, this is taking a turn. No transgender mutilization for children. Do not fail. President Donald J. Trump. So that is Donald Trump's announcement. Essentially just like rubbing Mike Johnson's face in it, saying, I control you, you're my bitch, which is exactly what Mike Johnson is. He's got no power in the House because his majority is so paper thin and he can't pass anything. And of course, Donald Trump actually tells him what to do. And this is the whole point. Donald Trump, in spirit and in practice, wants to show that he controls the Congress. And largely, all of the power of the Congress has been ceded to Donald Trump, at least publicly by Republicans. He is still breaking the law when he decides he's going to declare war without congressional approval. He is still breaking the law when he does not appropriate funds that Congress has appropriated. This is the job of the executive to oversee that. And Donald Trump is essentially in control of Congress, but not in one way. The Save America Act, this proof of citizenship voter suppression law. It's not going through the Senate, although it's already passed the House, because John Thune is saying, I am not blowing up the filibuster. It's not happening. We've also seen 2 Republicans come out against it, and so Donald Trump cannot get it passed. And essentially that means he's going to shut down Congress. But Mike Johnson is trying to massage that a little bit because his party is getting antsy. This is what led this Republican to say, I'm ready to flip.
And Trump has said that if Congress can't send him the Save America Act to his desk, then he's not going to sign anything else into law. Is this the end of legislating for this cycle as we know it?
No, it's not. And I'll talk with him about that. We'll work with him. As you know, under the Constitution, if legislation was sent to the president's desk and didn't sign it for 10 days, it would become law automatically. So, but I understand what he's trying to emphasize: the importance of this priority, how critical it is to not just to him, but to the American people and to all of us. And so, it takes no convincing among House Republicans to agree to that priority. But I think he wants to send a signal to the Senate in particular that he's very serious about this, and I think the signal's been received.
So Mike Johnson trying to play off the fact that Donald Trump has shut down Congress completely. Because if Donald Trump has shut down Congress, what is even the point? Right? If Mike Johnson essentially does not have a job, what is even the point of being a Republican in Congress anymore? Donald Trump bragged. He bragged that a Republican right now with cancer, who he said would have been dead in June, is sticking around because he needs his vote. Right? A man battling a life-threatening disease, Donald Trump is bragging, he's staying for me. But what is he staying for? Congress isn't doing anything. Donald Trump says they're not going to. Mike Johnson can try to play it off, but that's what's being presented. Congress is done. It's over. So if you're a Republican and you care about legislating, wouldn't you want to be in an actual working majority? Well, that is what Kevin Kiley, who recently, after the new districts came out in California and saw the direction of the wind, decided he's not a Republican anymore. He's an independent. Had to say, drop some news on Trump that is shaking everything up. Republican congressman turned independent now says he's open to caucusing with Democrats. Congressman Kevin Kiley, an independent of California who recently left the GOP to become an independent, told Stephen A. Smith, of all people, that he would be opening to caucusing with Democrats if reelected to Congress. Kiley switched parties after changing districts due to California's redistricting to make it more difficult for Republican members to keep their seats, and boy did Gavin succeed. California redistricted its maps, and its rare mid-decade redistricting move, following Donald Trump urging Texas to do the same, has led Kiley to lose his seat. Kiley also lost his committee assignments after switching parties, but is hoping to get them back. Kiley was on Sirius XM's Straight Shooter with Stephen A. Smith on Thursday and asked, "Will you still be caucusing with Republicans?" Later in the interview, Smith asked, "Well, you're certainly not planning. It doesn't appear like you're planning on leaving office. And to be quite honest with you, I'm glad you're not. Let me state that for obvious reasons. But you've left open the possibility of caucusing with the Democrats next term. What specifically will Republicans have to do or fail to do to lose your support?" Kiley responded, "Well, what I've said is that I think that if you're going to be independent, then you shouldn't prejudge these things, right? And so I've said I'm going to caucus with the Republicans for the remainder of this term because that's how I was elected. When it comes to the new term, though, who I'm going to caucus with, what the speakers, who's I'm going to vote for speaker, I think I'll look at it at the time and say, all right, what is going to be best for the folks that I represent?" And I think a lot's going to happen now in the election, between now and the election. I think that I'll have a point, almost a year of having been an independent in the House, and so I'll make that decision at the time, Kiley concluded. How spineless. Let me just say that, first of all, how spineless of Kevin Kiley, not a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And it's obvious that he only decided to become an independent because he thought it would be a better way to win a district that Gavin Newsom's redistricting effort made it near impossible for him to win. So either we will have a Democrat win that seat or Kevin Kiley pretending to be a Democrat. But what this tells me more than anything is Kiley will do anything to keep his seat. Right, so if that comes down to maybe him being the decision between a Speaker Mike Johnson and a Democratic speaker come before the end of this Congress, I don't know, it's up in the air. Certainly, we've seen Thomas Massie suggest that he might be willing to break with his party in order to give Democrats the ability to really push on the oversight around the Epstein files or stop Donald Trump from spending $200 billion on an unnecessary and illegal war. But really what's so damning about Kiley suggesting that he might be willing to caucus with the Democrats is that he sees that as a better political way forward than sticking with Trump, right? He's ready to knife him and is doing so publicly in order to preserve himself. That is the popularity of Donald Trump right now. And that is the direction that the wind is blowing that Republicans are seeing right now. They see how unpopular Donald Trump is, even within MAGA, and so they're kind of licking the finger and putting it to the wind and going, I don't know if I can stick around here. I don't know if this is the right play. That is how weak Donald Trump has become within his own party, and that drives him crazy. And it is the reason he is so clearly focused on the SAVE Act, why he wants mass voter suppression, why we saw Mark Wayne Mullen unable to answer whether or not he would be sending ICE thugs to polling locations to disrupt and to scare people away from voting. And it is why Donald Trump continues to beat the drum on this lie of mass voter fraud, which Kash Patel was asked about today, and he just froze up and couldn't answer.
Director Patel, how many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
The conviction stats are with the Department of Justice. I defer to them on that.
You are the director of the FBI. Give me a guess. How many convictions in the last 1 year, 5 year, or 10 year? Ballpark.
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
You don't have that. Okay. Director Patel, how many active investigations does the FBI have into foreign individuals voting in U.S. elections?
We have a number of investigations, generally speaking, ongoing about individuals across the country.
Yeah, I'm asking for that number.
I don't have that number with me, but I have a number of them.
You have a number of investigations. Okay, is that number 10,000? Is it closer to 10,000 or closer to 10?
It's probably somewhere in between.
Okay. Will you please provide the committee with that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Director Patel, since you don't have the numbers, would it surprise you to know that the Heritage Foundation, which is not exactly the Columbia University Faculty Lounge, found only 77 instances of non-citizen voting in the 24 years between 1999 and 2023, each of which faced investigation by the appropriate authorities. So Heritage has a number of 77 examples in 24 years. Does that number surprise you?
No, because it's low.
So no voter fraud? None at all? Really? Zero? Can't come up with it, Kash? Numbers too small that even you're shocked by it? And this is what Donald Trump is waging an all-out war against your ability to vote on. This is a proof of citizenship bill. They want a passport that more than a majority of Americans don't have. Right? A majority of Americans do not have a passport. Costs $165 to get one. And by the way, do you know more Democrats have passports than Republicans? So if you just want to do people with passports, I don't think you're going to like the result, Donald. But this is what they are going after right now. This is their plan, and that should tell you everything about how scared they are. Kevin Kiley is saying, I could be a Democrat. Please elect me. And it also just shows that these people are in Congress for self-preservation. It is why when there are Democrats who will be opposed to, let's say, something like Medicare for all, right? Or who will, outwardly be like, oh, I'm going to stand firm with Israel. Don't believe that. Right? These people like being politicians. There are a lot of people in Congress, Democrat and Republican, who just like being politicians, and they will ultimately follow what is popular. That is why we need leaders to set the tone. Stock trading, ban it. Israel, stop sending any weapons, offensive or defensive. They're not defensive. Israel's all offense. All they do is strike people. Try to kill a reporter earlier today. Right? We need leaders to set that tone because these people, I guarantee you, they're going to fall in line.